Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Learn English with Podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Tony. How are you today, Nikki?
I'm great, Tony. Excited to talk about phrasal verbs today. How about you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Today, we have a fun topic for you all. Phrasal verbs part 5.
Yes. We are going to talk about 8 phrasal verbs in this episode. Using phrasal verbs can really make your English sound more natural.
Absolutely. And we'll give you examples and real-life dialogues to help you understand better.
Before we start, let's quickly remind our listeners what phrasal verbs are.
Good idea. Phrasal verbs are phrases that include a verb and a particle, like get back or turn up. They change the meaning of the original verb.
Right. And today, we will discuss 8 phrasal verbs: get back, back up, drop off, find out, get along, point out, turn up, and carry away.
Let's begin with our first 2 phrasal verbs. Get back and back up.
Get back means to return to a place. For example, I get back home at 6 p.m.
And back up means to make a copy of something or to move backwards. For example, remember to back up your files, or can you back up your car?
Let's give some examples from our own lives, Tony.
Sure. Last week I got back from my trip to Spain. It was amazing.
That sounds wonderful. I always back up my computer files because I don't want to lose my work.
Smart move. Now we're going to listen to a conversation using get back and back up. After that, we'll talk about it. Ready?
Let's do it.
Hi, Sarah. When did you get back from your vacation?
Hi, John. I got back yesterday. It was so relaxing.
That sounds nice. Did you back up all your photos?
Not yet, but I will do it today. How about you? Did you get back to work already?
Yes. I got back to work on Monday. It's been busy.
I can imagine. Do you have a lot of files to back up?
Yes, a lot. I try to back up my files every week.
That's a good idea. I should do that too.
It's really helpful. So, what did you do on your vacation?
We visited many beaches and tried new foods. It was great.
Sounds perfect. I can't wait to get back to the beach next summer.
Me too. Maybe we can plan a trip together.
That was a nice conversation, right, Tony?
Yes, it was. I liked how they used get back to talk about returning from vacation and back up for saving photos and files.
Exactly. It's very natural to use these phrasal verbs in everyday conversations.
And it's important to remember to back up your important files, just like in the dialogue.
Absolutely. So, listeners, now you have seen how get back and back up are used. Try to use them in your own conversations.
Let's move on to our next 2 phrasal verbs.
In this part, we'll talk about our next 2 phrasal verbs: drop off and find out.
Yes. Drop off means to take someone or something to a place and leave them there. For example, I drop off my kids at school every morning.
And find out means to discover information. For example, I need to find out what time the movie starts.
Nikki, do you have any personal stories using these phrasal verbs?
Sure. Last week, I had to drop off a package at the post office. It was a busy day.
That sounds hectic. I remember last month I had to find out where my friend moved to. It took some time, but I finally did.
It's always good to find out important information. Now, let's listen to a conversation that uses drop off and find out. Ready?
Let's go.
Hi, Lisa. Can you drop me off at the station later?
Sure, no problem. What time do you need to go?
Around 5 p.m. I need to catch a train to visit my parents.
Got it. I will drop you off at 4:45 p.m. Is that okay?
Perfect. Thanks. By the way, did you find out if the new cafe is open?
Yes, I found out yesterday. It opens next week.
Great. We should go there together.
Absolutely. I heard they have the best coffee in town.
I can't wait to try it. Also, I need to find out if there are any good movies this weekend.
I'll help you with that. Let's check online after I drop you off.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lisa.
Anytime. See you later.
Another great conversation. What did you think, Tony?
I liked how they used drop off to talk about taking someone to a place and find out for discovering information about the cafe and movies.
Yes. And it shows how these phrasal verbs fit naturally into everyday dialogue.
Exactly. Listeners, practice using drop off and find out in your own sentences. It will help you get comfortable with these phrases.
Now, before we move on to the next part, let's tell a quick joke. Why did the student eat his homework?
I don't know why.
Because his teacher said it was a piece of cake.
Haha, that's a good one, Nikki. All right, let's continue with our next set of phrasal verbs.
In this part, we'll talk about our next two phrasal verbs, get along and point out.
Get along means to have a good relationship with someone. For example, I get along well with my coworkers.
And point out means to show or tell someone something that they didn't know. For example, she pointed out the mistake in my report.
Do you have any stories using these phrasal verbs, Nikki?
Yes, actually, I get along very well with my neighbors. We often have dinner together.
That's nice. I remember my teacher used to point out my mistakes in a very kind way, which helped me learn.
It's always good to get along with people and to have someone who can point out things you can improve. Now, let's listen to a conversation that uses get along and point out.
Sounds good. Here we go.
Hey, Tom, how are you getting along with your new boss?
Hi, Jane. I'm getting along really well with her. She's very friendly.
That's great to hear. By the way, did she point out any areas you need to improve?
Yes, she pointed out that I need to work on my time management. It was really helpful.
It's good to have someone who can point out things like that. It helps us grow.
Absolutely. How about you? Do you get along with your colleagues?
Yes, I get along with most of them. We have a good team spirit.
That's important. A good work environment makes a big difference.
It sure does. I'm glad you're getting along well at your new job.
Thanks, Jane. And thanks for pointing out that new restaurant. It was fantastic.
You're welcome. I knew you'd like it.
Another great conversation. Right, Tony?
Definitely. I liked how they used get along to talk about relationships at work and point out for giving useful advice.
Yes. And it shows how these phrasal verbs are used naturally in everyday conversations.
Exactly. Listeners, practice using get along and point out in your own sentences. It will help you become more comfortable with these phrases. Now, let's continue with our next set of phrasal verbs.
In this part, we'll talk about our next two phrasal verbs, turn up and carry away.
Yes. Turn up means to arrive or appear, often unexpectedly. For example, he turned up late to the party.
And carry away means to become overly excited or lose self-control. For example, she got carried away with the excitement of the concert.
Do you have any personal stories using these phrasal verbs, Nikki?
Sure. Last weekend, my friend turned up at my house without calling. It was a nice surprise.
That's always fun. I remember getting carried away at my favorite band's concert. I was singing and dancing all night.
It's easy to get carried away when you're having fun. Now, let's listen to a conversation that uses turn up and carry away. Ready?
Let's do it.
Hi, Mike. Did you turn up at the meeting yesterday?
Hi, Anna. Yes, I turned up, but I was a bit late. How about you?
I turned up on time, but I almost got carried away with the discussion. It was very interesting.
I know what you mean. It's easy to get carried away when the topic is good.
Exactly. Did anyone else turn up late?
Yes, a few people turned up late, but it wasn't a big deal.
That's good. By the way, did you see how John got carried away with his presentation?
Yes, He was so excited. It was great to see his passion.
It really was. I hope I can turn up with that much energy next time.
I'm sure you will. Just don't get too carried away.
I'll try not to. Thanks, Mike.
Anytime, Anna. See you later.
Another great conversation, Tony.
Yes, it was. I liked how they used turn up to talk about arriving at the meeting and carry away for getting excited about the discussion.
Yes. And it shows how these phrasal verbs fit naturally into everyday dialogue.
Exactly. Listeners, practice using turn up and carry away in your own sentences. It will help you get comfortable with these phrases.
Before we move on, let's tell another quick joke. Why did the golfer bring 2 pairs of pants?
I don't know why.
In case he got a hole in one.
Haha, good one, Nikki.
Now it's time to review the 8 phrasal verbs we've learned today.
Yes, let's go over them one by one to make sure everyone understands. Ready, Nikki?
Ready. Let's start with get back. Get back means to return to a place. For example, I need to get back to my office before 5 p.m.
Next, we have back up. This means to make a copy of something or to move backwards. For example, you should back up your phone contacts regularly.
Then we talked about drop off. It means to take someone or something to a place and leave them there. For example, can you drop off these books at the library for me?
Next, we have find out. Find out means to discover information. For example, I need to find out the best route to the airport.
Next, we have get along. Get along means to have a good relationship with someone. For example, do you get along with your classmates?
Next, we have point out. Point out means to show or tell someone something that they didn't know. For example, she pointed out the best features of the new phone.
Next, we have turn up. Turn up means to arrive or appear, often unexpectedly. For example, he turned up at the event without an invitation.
And lastly, carry away. Carry away means to become overly excited or lose self-control. For example, he got carried away and spent all his money on video games.
Now that we've reviewed these phrasal verbs, let's listen to a comprehensive dialogue that uses all 8 of them. Ready, Tony?
Let's go!
Hey, Lucy. When did you get back from your business trip?
Hi, Sam. I got back on Friday night. It was a long week.
Glad you're back. Did you back up your presentation files?
Yes, I did. I also need to drop off a package at the post office today.
That's good. Did you find out when the post office closes?
Yes, it closes at 6 p.m. How do you get along with your new boss?
We get along really well. She pointed out some great tips for my next project.
That's awesome. I turned up at the office early today to finish my report.
Good for you. Just don't get carried away with working too much.
I'll try not to. Thanks, Sam.
Anytime, Lucy. Let's grab lunch together next week.
Sounds like a plan. See you then.
What a great conversation, Tony. It really showed how to use all 8 phrasal verbs.
Yes, it did. I liked how they naturally used get back, back up, drop off, find out, get along, point out, turn up, and carry away in their dialogue.
Exactly. It's important to practice using these phrasal verbs in different situations.
Listeners, try to use these phrasal verbs in your own conversations. It will help you become more comfortable with them.
We hope you enjoyed learning about these 8 phrasal verbs today.
Remember, the best way to improve your English is to practice using these phrasal verbs in your own conversations. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn.
Yes, and try to listen to our podcast every day to keep improving your English skills.
We'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please give us a like and share this podcast with your friends.
Your support helps us keep making great content for you. Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next time on Learn English with Podcast. Keep practicing and have fun with your English.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.